is the Dead Sea.
That's right.
So we're high above the Dead Sea in these desert mountains, okay? And what's on the other side of the Dead Sea from us? The children know?
Israel.
The state of Israel, some call it Palestine, it's a warfare. Directly opposite me, as I go this way, you'll see a hill with a little green, a dark spot on it, maybe with your eyes.
Mm-hmm.
That is just above Jerusalem, okay? On a clear day, you might see a little gold from the Dome of the Rock in Jerusalem, and some of the taller buildings in modern Jerusalem. So that's Jerusalem directly over here. And if you look down the coast in this direction, you'll see another black spot on the top of a hill, a little dark spot, it's vegetation. That is Masada, where there was a great battle at near the same time as here. And that's where many of the zealots died from suicide, okay, rather than face the Romans. Directly over here, you'll see a low spot with maybe some buildings and mountains above it, a cliff, and that is Qumran. That is Qumran, where the Dead Sea Scrolls were found, right over in that area. And there are still many caves there, and sometimes they're still finding stuff. This was a fort. It was built in the year 70 BC, okay? And then Herod the Great, the one who was the Herod when Jesus was born, bought it. He bought it because he was king of Jerusalem, and he wanted to defend Jerusalem from any direction. So he had Masada, he had Herodium, he had another place up in the top here, and he had Machaerus. And these were the forts that surrounded Jerusalem if there was an attack from the south or from the east. And who would attack Herod? Do you have an idea who might attack Herod?
The Ammonites.
No, they were gone.
Gone.
It was the Nabateans. The Nabateans knew about Rome. They didn't like everything about Rome. And Herod and his sons, we'll talk about them, were also Nabatean. Okay? And they were from Edom, which is southern Jordan. Bible, okay? So they were Nabatean, and they feared that the Nabateans would come and seize Jerusalem. So he defended. When Herod the Great died, he had 4 sons. And rather than make one of them the governor of all of the Jewish areas, they divided it into a tetrarch. 4 rulers, 4 divisions. Philip had the north. Herod Antipas, his son, had Jerusalem, and 2 other sons had different parts of the area around Jerusalem. Okay? Herod Antipas, son of Herod the Great, had Mukawir as his fortress. Okay? And he had Mukawir as his fortress. And Herod the Great really liked living here. He was a party guy. He loved to throw parties, and there's one in the New Testament. He was a guy who liked to entertain. He was a big puffed up guy. He liked people around him to have a good time, and he liked them to thank him profusely. This site has the largest private bath of any site in the Middle East. He built it, and I'll show you parts of it there. There are 3 rooms to it. This site was military, but he decided to turn it into a party house. So he built a very nice house for his family. He built a wonderful courtyard, which we'll see. He had all kinds of people visiting him, and many of them would live in the palace, but many would have nice quarters in these little caves, you see, and they'd fix them up with a nice door and have entertainment of visitors there. But mostly it was a Roman defense, and so there were soldiers here as well, and we'll see that. If there was an attack, people in Masada, Herodium, and in the north, or here, would just light a fire. You'd see the fire by night and the smoke by day to warn the others that an enemy was approaching. They're smart. Herod had, of course, his main office was in Jerusalem, and he used to sail across the Dead Sea, and there's a port, actually, down at the bottom of these hills where he would come, and then he would take a carriage up, it would take an all day, up to this site. And he really liked living here. He really liked it. He didn't like Jerusalem. Now you may remember in the gospel, when Jesus was on trial, someone said, "Oh, Herod's in town," and Pilate sent Jesus to Herod. Herod was usually not. And they built columns from these concrete drums you've been seeing here, and they wanted to make it like a Hollywood movie up there. But that's all been torn down now. And about 12, 15 years ago, the government of Jordan and the Hungarian Institute decided to excavate this place. So it is under current excavation now, and much has been found. And when you're up there, I'll show you here and there what we have. You don't have to stay with me or anyone, but just you'll pass word to each other. But up there is a private family bath. It's impressive. There's several mikvahs. You know what a mikvah is? When the Jews ritually bathe themselves after mixing with Gentiles or being in the marketplace, they must bathe themselves to be clean again to pray or to go to temple or synagogue. So the mikvahs are there for Jewish people to be clean for their prayers. Because Herod was a Jew, and he entertained a lot of Jewish people. So mikvahs are there. There's a village where the ordinary workers of the time lived. There's a beautiful open hallway where Salome did her dance. There's a place where Herod sat, and that was his throne location. There's some army places, and there's some parts of the family residence you can imagine. And also there's a garden up there, and there's some unknown things up there which they're trying to figure out. But it was a glorious place in the year 30, 35, 40 AD. And by the year 70 AD, it was gone. We are here. This is the authentic place where John the Baptist confronted Herod and his wife. This is the place where John the Baptist was killed. This is the place where Salome died. This is the real place. This is because it was lost to humanity and has been found recently. It's a very, very high place of provenance. John the Baptist was not probably kept in a prison. There's no evidence of a prison here. There's no evidence of a jail. He was probably under house arrest in the village, maybe with relatives. His disciples were around because we know after he was killed, his disciples took the body and buried it. John the Baptist is buried somewhere right below us. We don't know where, but maybe someday they will find something that would suggest it is the Baptist. He is buried here, no doubt about it. He's buried in the Roman method, and there are 1,000 graves in the roadway below us here. So, welcome to the terrace, and go up and look around and see what you see. And from here and there, you'll see me saying something to a few people, and you're more than welcome to listen or spread the word. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Don, be careful ah.
Sa palace ni King. Ayan.
Dalawa? Dalawa.
Oo, lagi kong baon yun. Kasi ako si fr.Gerald kasi una nag-asa akin na para sa kanya. Kaya bigyan namin ito.
Lived just on this side over here in a village, we think, and was probably under house arrest.
What's house arrest?
you have to stay at home and people have to watch you, but you can't leave and go anywhere. Okay? Yeah, not like the movie. Now this room, this flat place, this is not the original stone you're standing on. This was put in 1968-69. And this actually is the Great Hall of Herod. And this would have columns, just like this one here. These are Doric columns. And they were about every 5 or 6 feet. There was a plan of how to put them. Many pieces are here. But this column here is the original drums. They call them drums. You see they look like drums? They are fit together with pegs between them, and they would be plastered over to look smooth, and then painted. And so this place was very colorful, and there was a big porch with a cover all around it with these columns supporting it. And in here is where you would have your court when people came to do business. And
So, tingnan nyo naman, ang lalakarin ay matarik. Matarik ito, Dead Sea. That is the Dead Sea. At saka yung kabila ng Dead Sea ay Israel. Israel na yan. So here, Jordan, Israel. So, kung tayo ay gusto natin pupunta ng Israel para walang visa, dyan tayo.
Lalangoy.
Dumaan dyan sa Dead Sea. Pero tingin naman, desert. Ano, desert yan. Alam, ano kakainin natin? Paano kaya?
Magbaon
You
pa.
just imagine the sacrifices and the suffering of migrants to come across. Ito ay, we came from different places. Ano? May Pangasinan, may Pampanga, may Bicol, may Mindanao, Bisaya. Tapos they came here for work, for the love of our loved ones there. Okay, so dahan-dahan tayong bababa.
Okay po.
At sa dahan-dahan pagtapak nyo, minsan ano yung mga pato, ha?
Kayo po, Bishop, kasi walang spike yung inyong walang spike yung inyong sapatos.
Dahan-dahan.
the word of God against human evil.
Oh, beautiful. Nicely said.
Yeah. Yeah. He spoke the truth to power.
And Father, he does that in the Philippines.
Of course he does.
He has, he's always with Radio Veritas, and it's being quoted.
It's his joy. It's his joy.
Against the
Even at great risk.
record pala.
Before he came here, he had a lot.
Wala. Nakikita mo yung Dead Sea. Tapos yung kasunod niyan, Israel na. Ngayon pupunta kami sa Palace of King Herod. Ito na, sa entrance na kami. Init. Yeah. Kaya ng powers. Thank you, ate.
Oh, that's so big.
Papunta dito si Bishop sa bus. Ayaw nila pumunta kasi mainit. Si Bishop. Ang sarap ng hangin dito, Bishop. Opo, sa bus po kami kumain. Mga sandwiches po.
Pagkain marami. Sandwiches, salad.
Opo. Kumain.
Salad.
Sandwich, egg.
Banana.
Salad.
Eggplant.
Sandwiches.
Walang bumaba sa amin. Kami lang dalawa. Wala ayaw
Na
nila.
mainit.
Pagod na.
Pagod na siguro.
Napagod din. Bumalik na siguro doon. Naikot na namin kakapicture ito dito. Opo. Ang ganda. Masyado. Hindi, parang papunta ata sila dito. Ayun si Father Michael at saka si Father Gerald, pero si Father Resty. Father Resty.
Natutulog na sa piano.
Natulog na. Hindi malakas po yung hangin, kaya okay na po. Ayun, sasama din si Father Resty. Ayun, may sumama na rin. Oo, kasi nandito na rin, sayang na hindi ka sasama.
Tapos tumungaw siya, pero hindi ito. Sa kanyang palas. Tapos nakita niya sa Jerusalem yun.
Opo.
Nakita niya si Betsaida naniligo. Tapos tinanong niya kung sino yung tapos ginawa niyang asawa.
Mm.
Tapos sinabi ni Betsaida na asawa siya. Sino yung asawa mo nasa campaign, nasa gera. Tapos umuwi ngayon. Tapos sabi padala mo sa gera para mamatay. Hindi pa natin yun na dito yun. Yung gera ng Hittites. Tawagin sa Hittites. Dito ng gera. Kaya lulusubin nila to. Ito isang kampo.
Kampo.
Ayun.
O kasi mayroong nakalagay doon na
Tapos
3 bedroom.
namatay nga si Hur. Tapos sinabihan siya ni Prophet Samuel. Pinapatay mo siya. Ayun.
Yun ang story.
Bakit pa? Babalik si Father Michael.
Bababa na siya. Baka doon niya sinimulan. Aakyat din yan dito. Kasi nandito tayo.
Wala mo ako, sister.
Okay po.
Sister John. Pakakatangay ng ring.
Naka-live yan. Ay,
Naka-live ito? Ito naka-live.
Lobat na.
20.
Thank you.
So, hindi na yata tataas si
Baba na tayo.
Bababa na rin.
Saling ko yun din sa likod yun.
So that is already reasonable. Bakit pa ako magtitiis na ako'y binubugbog at wala naman akong security at wala naman akong future sa kanya? Tama lamang na kung saan umuwi na siya.
Yun na nga ang problema, Father. Kasi lumapit na rin kami sa family protection. Every time na lang talaga na nag-aaway na nagbubugan, parang hindi na lang pinapansin talaga ng family protection or police station dahil pag naging okay na naman sila, okay na naman sila, nakakalimutan.
Kaya nga ang problema, nagsasawa na sila kasi ayaw pa niyang wala siyang will na hiwalayan.
Yeah.
Hiwalayan ngayon, sasama bukas. So wala silang gana sapagkat hindi serious tong babae. You have to be serious and you have to be strong to resist na hindi na ako sasama sa kanya. Second, thirdly, isipin niya na kung saan ay kasal siya sa Pilipinas.
Yes.
Kasal siya sa Pilipinas, ngayon sa ating law, wala tayong divorce. Wala tayong wala tayong divorce. So, siya ay pwede pa rin kasuhan ng bigamya and adultery. Ngayon, to be clear with everything, umayon lang siya. Ngayon, anong problema? Yung kanyang perang kailangan para pera. So this is your chance to help and to be of assistance, to be of service. Sino ba magtutulong kundi tayo mga Pilipino? Tulungan natin yung kanyang kakulangan sa overstay, yung perang gagamitin. Pero dapat dedicated na siya, discipline na siya, determined na siya, na uwi na katiwalaan ko na siya. Eh kung urong sulong at parang yoyo, ikaw din na tumutulong, mawawalan ka rin gana na mag-assist. So ang problema ng sagot ay nasa babae. Nasa babae. No? Pwede siyang uwi at makakauwi siya, kaya lang sumasama pa siya at kumabalik pa siya. So hindi siya seryoso. At yung tama yung sinabi ni Attorney Lisa, na kung saan pwede siyang umuwi kahit meron siyang anak, sapagkat yung anak ay hindi documented. Pag documented, kailangan mo ng permission nung lalaki kahit hindi ka kasal. Kahit na anak sa labas, ang anak sa labas sa Philippine law at patas din dito sa Europe, dito sa United Nations law, na meron ding right, may karapatan ang illegitimate children. Okay. So, ganyan na lang.
Thank you.
Ngayon, yung una ay magbibigay ako ng general white, no? At ito rin ang inano ng TFA, na kung saan sa lahat ng pupunta, dapat nilang malaman na kung saan ay bigyan ng day off at entitled kayo sa day off. Yung passport hindi confiscated. Ang passport ay hawak nyo, kayo ang nagtatago. At tapos ito ang sinasabi natin na kung saan nakipag-partner sa TFA, yung repatriation, na sinasabi natin ng ating mga OFW kahit sa bansa na kung saan ay ito na pagkakataon na ma-legalize natin ang ating situation, let us take advantage of it. Nakunin natin repatriation. At dito tayo nakikipagtulungan sa TFA na kung saan ang kapatamba ng ating mga OFW ay natutupad, nagagawa, at sila pa ay talagang na kung saan nakikinabang sa mga kanilang karapatan. At dito tayo nakikipagtulungan, partners tayo ng ng DFA, ng OWA, ng POLO para rito. Yung kay sister na kung saan yung mga hindi pa kasal, no? Yung mga hindi pa kasal. Ngayon, yung mga, yan din ang ating programa sa mga chaplains na kung saan magbigay sila ng mass wedding, magbigay sila ng mass baptism na free of charge na kung saan regalo ng chaplaincy. Subalit ang kasal ay mahirap. Anong mahirap? Sapagkat meron pa mga dokumentos na kailangan, lalo sa Pilipinas. Anong dokumentos ang dapat kailangan? Baptismal certificate. Birth certificate, pwede ko na yan, madali yan. Baptismal certificate. Bakit po namin hiningi ang baptismal certificate? Ito po ay patas ng simbahan, no? Na kung saan kapag nabinyagan ang lahat ng bata, meron kaming libro. Libro ng binyag, libro ng kasal. At lahat ng binibigyan, ando sa libro na yon. Lahat ng simbahan yan. Pagkatapos, doon sa libro na yon, isang page sila, isang linya sila, ilalagay, i-record sila kung kailan sila na First Communion. Nakarecord kung kailan sila nakumpilan. At ang malaga, kung kailan sila naikasal. Kaya nga humingi ng birth certificate at kaya meron mga tinatawag natin tawag sa kasal, bonds. Sapagkat pag naikasal, ipapasa kahit saan, umiikot yun at nire-record Pilipino. And that is the reason why they want you. And it is now status quo, especially in Europe, especially here,
sa ibang mga connational sa local to have a Filipina in their house, in their company, in the embassy. Pag sinabi lang meron akong Pilipina, masasabi nila na mataas ang face value. It is because of you. Kami ay nagpapasalamat sa inyo and we appreciate your services and sacrifices. Yung sakripisyo nyo ay makikita natin ito ay dahil sa inyong dedication at pag-ibig na iangat ang kalagayan ng inyong mahal sa buhay. Ang pag-ibig ay handang magtiis, magpakasakit, mangulila at magbigay. At ito ang inyong ginagawa. Sa pasasalamat ng Inang Simbahan ng Bayang Pilipinas at pagkilala sa inyong ginagawa, kami naman ay gumagawa din ng paraan para sa inyo. And first of all, it is presence. Kaya ang dahilan nito ay ang Inang Simbahan sa kanyang magagawa, magpapadala kami ng chaplain to accompany you, to assist you, to help you. At ang pruweba ay ang napakabait, napakabuti at magandang lalaki si fr.Gerald. Kami nagagalak sa kanyang tulong, sa kanyang pangangalaga sa inyo. Kapag masaya ang chaplaincy, ito dahil sa chaplain. Dahil ito sa inyo, sa inyong lahat. So, it is always the presence. At yan din ang ginagawa ng Bayang Pilipinas, Bansang Pilipinas, na kung saan ay marami ng polo, marami ng OWA. At sa presence ay we will always, sa Pilipinas at dito sa ibang bansa, we will always promote your rights. We will always protect your dignity, your well-being. Hindi lamang kayo, kundi yung mga naiwan nyo. At sa mga simbahan natin, sa diocese natin, mayroon death ministry na kung saan alalayan, tulungan yung mga naiwan. Tingnan ang inyong mga anak na sila ay nag-aaral, especially kapag sila nasa Catholic school. Kasi hawak na hawak yon ng diocese. At kung nasa public, sinasila sa campus ministry, nag-aaral pa sila at checking nag-aaral pa sila. At hindi lamang yan, meron tayong programa sa kanila na Outstanding Sons and Daughters of All para mag-inspirasyon na mag-aral at magtapos. At pag nagtapos, sila ang aking nagiging witnesses natin. So with presence, protect, promote, at huli, makakaasa kayo kahit hindi tayo magkikita na madalas kayo palagi lahat ng OFW ay sinasama sa Santa Misa. Para sa inyong safety, para sa inyong success at self-help. At ito ang nais padama ng simbahan na kung saan ay kayo mahalaga, kayo mahal, at kayo ay aming aalagaan at aming ingatan. Maraming pasalamat sa inyo at maraming pasalamat kay fr.Gerald.
Tatapusin na po natin yung ating pong dialogue. Mali po siya sabi natin, we will not resolve anything. Pero may fact po na nakikinig po sila, may mga bagong insights po sila nakukuha. At kayo naman po by listening to them, pero din po tayong inspiration and for us all to go on. Pagpapasalamat po ako sa mga presidente po ng mga organizations po natin, ng subgroups and big group ng UFO sa pamumuno po ni Brother Georgie. Sa short notice po nakagawa kagad kayo ng ganito. Salamat po sa pag-arrange po ni Sister Lilica, ang mapilido niyan, Calya, Mendoza, Trinidad, ng pag-arrange po ng Petra Cafe. Salamat po sa Parokya ng Bakal sa mga prayers and nag-arrange po ng places po natin. Thank you po kasi pag wala po, salamat din po sa nag-prepare po ng merienda po natin. Salamat po sa inyong lahat kasi po kung wala ko kayo, hindi po ito tagumpay. No? Pero sure po ako pagkatapos po nito, meron po tayong step forward dahil makukuha tayo ng insights. Yung mga parents po, bukas po ng